Welcome to I Am the End of the Words. Um, Today's book, I was thinking of something clever to say, nothing came. Today's book is the 2002 by Deborah Larsen. It's a novel called The White. And first, the book itself, hardback, dust jacket, just a regular black. Very feathered edge here. I'm blanking on what it's called. I know I said it, the Anthony Bourdain book was the same way that I did. It's not. It's some kind of edge. I can't remember what it is right now. But this one's very severe. Like the feathering of the pages is very severe to the point where it's almost hard to turn the page from the side because it's that ragged. I don't know if you can see that, but there's such a difference in the page length that in order to turn a page, you need to go from the top or the bottom, which I'm not a big fan of. But such is life. We got to do things. Some things we don't like to do. Length on this thing is about a little over 200 pages, about 220, 215, 220. And The White is a story of a young woman of about 16 who gets taken from her house by a Shawnee raiding party in what would be Gettysburg. I think it takes place around 1750s, late 1750s, about 1758, I think, 1759. And as she's taken, her whole family gets scalped. Her whole family gets scalped and murdered, but they keep her because she has the same face as one of the Shawnee tribesmen who was killed by a white man. So she is kind of accepted into their tribe. Eventually, they take her to, I wish I could remember these names. Seneca. She gets kind of given to two Senecas. Maybe the Seneca sisters were the ones that lost their brother. Yes, it was the Seneca sisters who lost their brother. So the Seneca are the ones who get her after the Shawnee take her. And she gets two Seneca sisters, and through her whole first, I don't know how long it is. The timing of this is weird. The first chapter is like very compressed, but it's only a short amount of time. And then the second chapter is like 40 years in the same length of time. It's strangely oriented time-wise, but I could still follow along. It just took a minute to figure out, oh, how old is she here? Got it. And then you move on. But she's very quiet. She's actually in almost like a catatonic state, just going about with her life with these Seneca sisters, slowly learning their language. She gets her own Seneca name, which is Two Falling Voices. I think it is Two Falling Voices because she speaks now Seneca and the white language, which would be English. Eventually, she meets a man, marries him. He is an Indian. I think he's a Delaware. And they end up having a child. They end up, well, I don't want to tell everything, but they have problems with a child. They have a child. He dies in combat. Just told you everything. That's so much for me not telling you everything. She lives her life in the tribe. She has the option of leaving. The initial marriage proposal was that she would get her freedom. Like he will marry her, but she could leave if she wants. But she chooses to stay, stays married, commits herself to him. He ends up dying. She still stays with the tribe. She feels like it's her home now. She ends up marrying again eventually to an older man who's like more of a warrior, more of a savage, if you will. That might be the second husband. Yeah, I don't think her first husband was the Delaware. The second husband's the warrior. I might be remembering something wrong. Doesn't matter. If you read it, you'll read it. But she ends up having like 6 kids, maybe four or 5 kids with this guy. Still a son from the first marriage. He ends up falling ill. Eventually, all her sons end up killing each other. They say it's because of the drink. The white man gave him the drink. It shows you what her role in kind of delegating. She was being delegated to be the go-between between certain parties from certain British parties and certain Americanized parties, and trying to stay out but still be involved in the revolution. Very, very minimal amounts of that. It's mainly about the one woman and about her struggles, and it's very real, and it's done in a way where you feel what the woman's saying. It's written very well in that aspect. It's written very well that the woman's firsthand, rendition of things, if you will. But it also goes where there'll be a paragraph of, her, what she thinks kind of in her diary, and then there'll be just a paragraph of what happened, and she'll be in third person. It's kind of shocking and kind of off-putting for the first couple of chapters. Not the first couple of chapters, first couple of pages. You can slide right into it really quickly though. Eventually, after all her sons kill each other, she ends up accomplishing her dream, which is owning land. She owns a lot of land. A doctor in the area wants to do her life story, which she agrees to. That's kind of how the book ends, is her telling her life story. This is a novel. This is fiction. Don't read this thinking this is a real story. Don't get caught up into it. The problem I had with this book, a lot of scripture references. A lot of scripture references. If that's your thing, that's fine. For me, it's not my thing. It wasn't what I wanted. Everything seemed to be referenced to scripture. And there's even a moment in the book where she questions her faith because now she's not of the white persuasion anymore, if you will, and she doesn't believe that way. She kind of worships another god, but then that's forgotten, and we're talking about scripture again. Confusing to that aspect. If you cut out the scripture out of this, and you cut out the whole religious aspect of her questioning it and just her being religious, it's a great book. I really enjoyed it. But the scripture, the constant references to scripture, just pounding it, scripture, really took me out of it. It would take me out of the story almost immediately because it would say something and then scripture, and it's just too much. It's too much. In my head, I just thought about writing scripture Shrimshaw, and it made me laugh, that turn of phrase. I'm sorry. But all in all, I did enjoy it. I would have to give it a 6.5 out of 10 because I didn't hate it. I kind of enjoyed it. If it wasn't for scripture, this book could have been a solid 7.5, 8, honestly. But if scripture's your thing, maybe you'll enjoy it more. If you read this, let me know what you think. If not, if you see it around, pick it up because it is worth a read, I think. It's something different. But like I said, if you really despise forced scripture references, don't read this because you will despise it. Thank you for watching. And that wink was weird, huh? Very uncomfortable with it happening. Very uncomfortable. Don't know why it happened. I also can't wink with my left eye. I can only wink with my right. Okay.